Cheap today, poison tomorrow. It's a stark statement, isn't it? Almost aggressive, but I've been turning this idea over and over in my mind, and the more I examine it, the more layers of truth I find, often in places we're trained not to look. It wasn't a sudden revelation, more like a creeping realization, a pattern I started noticing. In the background noise of daily life, you see these incredibly low prices for everything. Clothes, electronics, food, you name it. And for a long time, like most people, I just saw it as progress, as efficiency. Wow, I can get so much for so little. But then, little by little, I started to connect dots that didn't seem connected before. I'd read an article about a factory collapse in a distant country, then see a t-shirt for $5. I'd hear about microplastics in the ocean, then see shelves overflowing with single-use plastic, everything, all incredibly cheap. It's like these low prices exist in a vacuum, disconnected from any consequence. But what if they're not? What if that cheapness is actually the most expensive thing we're collectively buying into? The core of it, as I see it, is that we've become conditioned. This constant bombardment of artificially low prices has almost imperceptibly eroded our ability to value the true cost of things, the human effort, the natural resources, the environmental impact. It's like a subtle form of brainwashing. We see a low price, and our internal alarm bells, that should be screaming, "How is this possible?" are instead replaced by a little voice saying, "What a great deal." We've normalized exploitation as a prerequisite for consumption. If a price seems too good to be true, it's because somewhere, someone, or something is invisibly subsidizing that discount, and we've become accustomed to not asking who or what that is. Think about it. How does this system sustain itself? Globalization is a big part of it, obviously. Companies chase the lowest production costs, and that often means moving to countries with lax labor laws, weak environmental regulations, or governments desperate for any kind of investment. This isn't a critique of globalization itself, but of a specific, predatory model of it that prioritizes profit above all else. The pressure to reduce costs is immense. So, you pay less at the checkout, but the real cost, the true cost, gets transferred. It's pushed onto vulnerable communities who have no choice but to accept dangerous working conditions for pitiful wages. It's pushed onto ecosystems far away, which are stripped bare or polluted, out of sight and out of mind for most consumers. And, crucially, it's pushed onto future generations, who will inherit a depleted planet and a mountain of social and ecological debt. There's an economic term for part of this: externalizing costs. It sounds fancy, but it's simple. It means a company makes its product cheaper by not paying for certain things, like the health impacts of its pollution on a local village, or the long-term damage of deforestation, or a living wage that would allow its workers dignity. Those costs don't disappear. They just don't show up on the company's balance sheet or on the price tag. They become society's problem, the environment's problem, our future's problem. This is how that cheapness applies directly to our lives, even if we don't immediately see it. Take the culture of disposability that has blossomed alongside cheap goods. If a product costs very little, why bother making it durable? Why bother designing it to be repaired? It's often cheaper and easier for both the manufacturer and the consumer to just throw it away and buy a new one. This isn't accidental. It's often a deliberate strategy called planned obsolescence, where things are designed to break or become outdated quickly. Think of fast fashion, where trends change weekly and clothes are made so cheaply they fall apart after a few washes. Or electronics that are almost impossible to repair, with new models pushed out constantly. Each cheap, disposable item contributes to mountains of waste and a relentless drain on finite resources. The application here is to pause before that impulse. Buy. Ask yourself, how long will this last? Can it be repaired? Am I buying this because I truly need it, or because it's cheap and I can just get another one when it breaks? Shifting our mindset towards durability and longevity, even if it means paying a bit more upfront, can have a huge collective impact. It's a vote for a different kind of production. And then there's the more direct poison aspect. To achieve those rock-bottom prices, efficiency often means cutting corners on safety, on materials, on processes. This can mean the use of harmful chemicals in manufacturing that workers are exposed to daily. It can mean pesticides and herbicides used liberally on economical food, the residues of which can end up in our butt. It means industrial pollutants being dumped into rivers or spewed into the air in communities where these cheap goods are made. That saving at the point of sale can manifest later as increased healthcare costs for workers in those factories, for communities living near them, and sometimes even for us, the consumers, through exposure to toxins in the products themselves. The label might scream bargain, but it could be quietly whispering future health problem. How can we apply this knowledge in our daily lives? It's about becoming more conscious investigators of what we buy. It's not always easy, and I'm not saying everyone has the time or resources to research every single purchase, but we can start by questioning things. If a price seems ridiculously low, be skeptical. Look for brands that are transparent about their supply chains. Support companies that prioritize ethical production and sustainable materials, even if they cost a bit more. Demand better labeling. Consider the life cycle of a product. Where did it come from, and where will it go when you're done with it? These small shifts in awareness, multiplied by millions of people, can create real pressure for change. The ultimate bill for all this cheapness isn't just monetary, though it will eventually manifest as massive economic costs. Cleaning up environmental disasters, dealing with public health crises, managing social unrest, fueled by inequality. The true cost is paid in diminished human well-being, in fractured ecosystems, in a less stable and less predictable climate. We see it in the climate crisis, which is exacerbated by unsustainable production and consumption patterns driven by the pursuit of cheap. We see it in global health issues linked to pollution and poor working conditions. We see it in the widening gap between the rich and the poor, where the benefits of cheap production flow upwards, while the burdens are disproportionately shouldered by the most vulnerable. So, cheap today, poison tomorrow, isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a condensed summary of a complex, interconnected system where immediate, individual savings are often financed by deferred, collective, and immense costs. It's an illusion, a clever accounting trick where the most significant debts are kept off the books, only to surface later as crises that impact us all. Recognizing this illusion is the first, most crucial step. It's not about feeling guilty for every purchase, but about becoming aware, about understanding the hidden stories behind the price tags, and about realizing that our choices, however small they may seem, contribute to the kind of world we are building or dismantling. The bill is coming due, and it's a collective one. So, we've seen the illusion, the hidden costs. The question is, what can we actually do about it in our day-to-day lives? It's not about overhauling everything overnight. It's about small, conscious shifts. For instance, simply choosing one well-made item that lasts over several cheap ones that don't is a powerful act. It might mean saving up a bit more, but you often save money and frustration in the long run. Think about repairing things. That old skill of mending clothes or fixing an appliance. It's not just nostalgic. It's a direct rebellion against the throwaway culture, and it often saves you from buying new. Even asking yourself, do I truly need this, before a purchase can make a huge difference. Sometimes, the most sustainable product is the one you don't buy. This reduces demand for constant, cheap production. When you do buy, look at labels. Where was it made? What's it made from? Supporting local businesses or companies that are transparent about their practices, even if it's just occasionally, sends a message. These actions might seem small, but imagine millions of us making these subtle changes. We start to shift demand. We value craftsmanship, durability, and ethical production more. The benefits? Personally, you might find yourself with higher quality possessions, less clutter, and even a sense of satisfaction. Collectively, we nudge the system towards something more sustainable, more just. We begin to internalize the true cost and make choices that reflect a longer-term view. It's about reclaiming our power as consumers, turning transactions into conscious decisions. It's about building a world where cheap doesn't automatically mean someone or something, somewhere, is paying an unbearable price. The power to change this narrative starts with us, with these everyday choices. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. I hope it's given you some food for thought. And before you go, I invite you to check out the description below. There might be something there that could help.